Hello! Welcome to episode 13 of Tristan tries to build an Ironclad and is not getting stuff done because people ask interesting questions. Last time we had some microphone issues, like it was too quiet. I think I found the issue after the stream, so please let me know if that is better this time. But it resets itself every few weeks whenever Windows is doing an update, so just hope it's better today. Well, good evening, everyone. EVTQ, I'm sorry you've been waiting for 10 hours. That's unfortunate. Usually I don't start a few hours early. Hi. Oh, when did we do the last one? I can't remember where we left off. I think the last stream we did was before the making of video. I think that I already had that post. That went incredibly well for some reason. I didn't. The last time I checked, the making of had 2/3 the views of the full tour. That is usually it's like 5% or something. So happy about that and quite surprised, to be honest. Now I'm obviously thinking about doing more like that, as I already posted, doing tutorials and stuff, but don't worry, I'm not going to do that before I finish this Ironclad. So let's try to focus on that today, at least a little bit. There's only two things I wanted to talk about real quick. I'm still thinking about doing some miniature work, maybe over the holidays. And I was wondering if anyone had any experience with JRDF miniatures. Have you used them? Have you painted them? That would be interesting. I've seen them at CitizenCon, but I've never paid too close attention, so that would be interesting. And the other one... Oh yeah, oh Jesus. I'm this close to posting my first rage bait Star Citizen video because I got so angry when I tried to play Arena Commander, the FPS module. I just saw that there's this Day of the Vara capture the kill collector mode where you collect the heads. And Jesus Christ, that is so broken, and it still feels like a 20-year-old free-to-play. I don't even have the words for that. It feels not like a game. It's just terrible. And I heard people actually play that and have fun with it, and I just always, every time I open it, I'm completely surprised how incomplete and terrible that feels. And I was just wondering if that is the same for everyone or it's just me. It's just the reaction times from me pressing a button to anything happening are terrible. The animations take hours. There is no reacting to anything. It's just people running to these helmets and don't even look for cover because they already know that they will die anyway. It's just collecting these. It just feels so unpolished. With what they are trying to do now, getting the game into a state where it shows people from out there that it's not a scam and that it's a finished alpha that you can play. I think this mode should not exist on the servers. To me, it feels completely. That actually, I think Arena Commander feels like the scam people say it is. Do you think that has to do with the connection, or is the mode, the FPS gameplay in AC broken? Yeah, that's what I'm asking you. But my connection can't be that terrible. I think I have a wired connection. I don't play over Wi-Fi. I'm in Central Europe. I am not in any rural area. I tried playing at different hours, months, days, years. It has never felt like proper game to me. So that's what I'm asking. I just can't believe it's always like that. Really happy, or would be really happy to have your input if that's just me or if I'm just... No, it can't be that I'm terrible. I've played other FPS games and I'm a decent shot at least. And this just... it just feels terrible. Yeah, let me know your opinions on that. For some reason, Trist says like he's not doing amazing stuff. Oh, that was still for the why the video was successful. Yeah, I'm surprised because that video did not show anything really Star Citizen related. It was just Blender stuff, and usually that is not interesting to most of even my viewers, I thought. But well, apparently I was a bit wrong. But yeah, happy about that. Alice Fane, I played it once when the Last Man Standing mode came in, then it felt okay. Like a cheap Battlefield at that. Okay. Like when we say okay, does it feel fluid? Does it feel like a real shooter game? Or like a jittery, broken... to me it does not feel like a proper game. Alright, we can talk about that later when we have some more people who played Arena Commander lately. Today I did plan to... I prepared some small bits that I have modeled on train rides. So I sometimes build just like small pieces on the go, and then I have to implement them later into the asset collection. So in this case, I maybe you noticed in the tour that all the stairs look quite terrible. Like they are still the stairs that I used for the Paladin. And also they were just, you could see through them. There were parts of a bottom below, but there were always open parts. So the whole staircase I have to improve. And I just try to have one that is Drake looking. And so this is just one piece that I then later have to integrate into that geometry node setup that automatically scales and moves it. We're not going to do that today because that's too complicated for me to do on stream, but we're going to finish up this asset so I can use it later. So give it some textures and set up the UVs and make it look pretty. And maybe in the process I can talk a bit about how I prepare these assets, because yeah, now more than ever I'm planning how best to share them with you in the future. So let's do this. If I do that, one comment, Lespatula, if you're coming from a real FPS shooter, then find yourself on foot in Star Citizen, it feels like someone's constantly holding you back by the shoulders. Add to that the slow inventory system. That's exactly what I mean and what I feel like. It's constantly feeling 5 seconds behind. It just... And the issue I have with that is that I get that in Star Citizen there are technical limitations, even though they said they fixed their server stuff and it's all good now, but if it doesn't even work properly on these small maps, and that's part of the problems because there are no small maps, they still have the whole planet loaded in, which, I don't know, does not seem like good optimization to me. That kinda makes me a bit anxious that it will always feel like that, and I'm really curious how, if Squadron 42 still feels like that, even though it's offline, then I might have a problem. Not saying you will have a problem, I will have a problem with it, because at that point, to me, games have to feel responsive. And with the ship stuff, there's a bit of leeroom, but for the FPS stuff, it can't stay like that. It's just not okay for me. So, with the stairs, as I said, it's already set up so that I can align multiple ones. So they perfectly connect to the next one. And I also have only modeled one side, because I feel like the way I set up my textures you won't see. And so I save a little bit of resources. And then what I'm currently experimenting with, not going... you see these nice edges here, these nice beveled edges that give you some feeling of this actually having a... I don't even know how to describe it. Anyway, that makes it look nice. In the past I modeled that into the models because performance doesn't really matter at this scale. But nowadays, with a ship like an Ironclad, I have to consider not having that built into my models. I could make normal maps for all of them to fake this effect. But that's a lot of manual work. And instead I'm trying to have this as a modifier so I can turn it off if I don't, if the distance is too high or something, or the performance gets too bad. But I can then add these small edge details just when I need them and turn them off again. That is also a bit tedious to set up and also to activate and deactivate. But I'm thinking about building that into all of them, so I can have just one big button somewhere turning all of them on or off. And then it also makes some issues with textures, but I'm not that reliant on textures. So we'll see if that's a good idea. So, otherwise this model already looks decent, so if there's no issues, I can bring it into my master scene. Let's check if it has decent normals. Looks good. Normals are the directions of the faces, and if something is red, then it's the wrong way around. And currently only the parts that are hollow are red, so that's inside, that's fine. So everything looks good. Do I have any overlapping vertices? Doesn't look like it. Polygons are already rather clean. Like things like this, I could clean that up more, but it won't make a visual difference, and I don't want to waste my time on that if it's not necessary. But all in all, it's rather cleanish. So this one is good, we can take that. So I'll just remember that it's called Drag Stairs and bring that into my asset library. That's where all my materials live. Those are all my objects. Let me catch up with chat real quick. It looked like that and I held the line. You're saying it looked janky? Or it looked fluid? Because it, yeah, I remember some moments where I think it looked a lot better than my online experience. But there were some of these poppings where ships just yeah, popped up on screen. They said those were bugs and they will be fixed. What I was more concerned with were these annoying animations of people like turning valves for 15 minutes. It's just there's too much focus on animations and having your hands visible and making it look realistic for my taste, because even though it looks cool, for me in every game, whenever you see your hands other than on a gun, it feels terrible. Whenever you grab a ledge, it's always disconnecting you, and I just don't like that. I think the intention is also to have more natural movement instead of people zigzagging around, the combat to be based on strategy rather than bunny hopping. In a way, Hunt Showdown also does something like that, but it doesn't feel so limited or limiting. Yeah, I think they achieve the opposite, because people still jump and zigzag around, and it doesn't look natural at all. It just looks janky. Maybe that was the idea, and I wouldn't mind if it was slow and tactical. But I have two other games that I really like, and I'm not incredibly good at either of them, but they are very decent. And it's Counter-Strike Go, which is incredibly fast, and it's Tarkov, which is incredibly slow. And I think they are both pretty well executed for what they are, and you could do both with Star Citizen, but right now it just feels sluggish and terrible. Janky tough movement when he... Oh yeah, when he's hiding... Oh yeah, I remember the scene when he is hiding behind the concrete thingies. That, yeah, it just feels like an interactive demo and not like a game. But I feel like they want to stick and focus with that. I just hope they reconsider and get some feedback in early, and I hope that's part of the reason why they are still working on it, because early feedback said there's a little too much cinematics in there. We'll see. Funnily, I'm the opposite. I love when games do full body implementation. That way I can always see my character's body and can be way more immersed. Really? That is honestly, like for real, that is the first time I've ever seen someone say that. Because I feel like you see your body, but you can't control it. Like when I'm stuck in a 5 seconds reload animation, it looks immersive, but I lose control in that moment. And I would rather have no animations and feel that I'm controlling it, other than my screen showing me that I'm controlling it, but I'm not really. I don't know. It's not about the hands per se. Counter-Strike has hands too, but you can basically cancel any animation whenever you want, and sometimes that can look a bit janky. They have a good system to make it look responsive, but the point is that you don't lose control ever, and that to me feels better. We should do a poll on that. We have 28 viewers. Let's do a poll. I want to know if people... Do you prefer immersion? How do I phrase that? I hope that makes sense. I know it's a topic where you can have different opinions on, but I just want to say that to me, my favorite game of all times is Thief, the one from the mid-90s. And to anyone who doesn't know that, it's the OG stealth game where you just sneak around and try not to be detected and You can kill people, but you shouldn't because you will leave marks and stuff. But the point is the visual feedback you get is so minimal. Like you see your hands, but there's no animations. When you climb a ladder, you can just drop off at any time. There's no cool climbing animations, nothing like that. But whatever movement you do, you are in control at any point in time. And at the end of the day, that feels a lot more immersive to me, even though it doesn't look like that. If people watch me, it looks old and terrible and unresponsive. But to me as a gamer, I feel every movement, I control every single movement, and ultimately I get a lot better at the game over time. If it's just about climbing stairs, I get better at climbing stairs and getting off at the right moment and stuff. In Star Citizen, you get to a ladder, you're stuck. That's it. You are out of... It's... If you die, you die. Let's see. Cumbersome, slow, and also this thief game is incredibly slow. So it's not that I don't want a fast-paced FPS shooter. That's not what I want in Star Citizen, not at all. I want it to be responsive, not fast, jumpy, run and gun. Okay, funnily, I'm the opposite, and yeah, I've read that. Did you play long? I always liked the idea, but I was never able to keep on going. Oh, sorry, that was not to me. That was about PlanetSide 2. Floaty hands can be weird, we talked about that too. 2000 hours. Animations are a problem when they are sticky. Star Citizen has a problem with sticky interactions, and ending them early is even jankier. Agree. Yes, that's a problem. I wish the sitting animation or entering a ship would be more of a direct input. Like you walk around, you sit down, you walk backward, you exit the animation the fastest way. You forgot both in your poll. Yeah, because I think in this discussion you can't have both. That was intentionally. I want to see what you prefer. Not. I mean, obviously we all want immersive and responsive at the same time, but I think you have to choose one always. Talis, I also played a lot of Tarkov and other slow games that I would call painful to most people. Agree. And that's in Tarkov I have died a million times because that game is incredibly hard. But with every single kill I felt like, yeah, I deserved that. It was not the system or the game or whatever. I mean, okay, that also has a lot of technical problems. The engine is not the best for that, but still it felt fair most of the time. Not counting the cheaters. I think running around with a hand on your shoulder is a good description for a Star Citizen, and that's probably the #1 thing that gives me a headache. Agree. It's just the chat. Laundry, what do you mean it's just the chat? Yeah, getting into chairs and being super vulnerable in Star Citizen is a problem to me. Okay. Thief is made on the Source engine. So it has the same smooth movement that is the maze of Star... no, it's not Source engine. I think it's... Well... I'm pretty sure... No, it's the Dark engine is, as far as I know, based on the Quake engine. But ultimately, isn't the Quake engine based on the Source or some? Isn't Source based on the Quake engine too? They are connected for sure, but it's not Source like that. But yeah, ultimately what you say is right. They feel very same, these two engines. They have the same they have the same clean, smooth, no animation, no bullshit feel to it. that's the best part of Tarkov. You earn most of the things you do, even when it's unloading a mag down a hall. I feel like Star Citizen could learn so much from Tarkov. Like, whatever you find, it's always, everything feels valuable. And every firefight feels intense, and in Star Citizen it's mostly like, I hope the tech isn't breaking for me. I mean, that's a very old issue, but I think this Arena Commander is just on another level when it comes to that. I do like nice animations, especially for Squadron, but that is probably because I'm more into story games like Mass Effect and never had an interest in shooter games. And that I'm 50% agreeing there. Like, for all the cinematics and stuff, I like that. I want it to be immersive, and that is a single player game. That is, I have completely different opinions on single player and multiplayer games. But there are a lot of sections in Squadron 42 that look very shooter heavy, and so I think you can't have both. Stalin's attack had some improvements in that regard. When you take the door gunner position, you can move backwards or pull your gun. Oh, really? Try that. I wouldn't... Martina, I have to say, I wouldn't have to know how to circumvent that. Do you have a good idea how to get a good go into seat animation and still able to aim, shoot, and or lean? I mean, that question is not addressed to me, but I think in an online game where it's really about performance and competitiveness, there should not be an animation for that. Or you should always be able to cancel that. If I go into my seat and then see someone behind me, I should just hit one button and he should just stop his animation and be on foot again and have his gun raised. Or alternatively, I also think why shouldn't you pull your gun when you're seated? Not sure why that is not possible at all. Hope the bullet register, and then you get 5 kill hit markers on the same guy for oh yeah, bullet registration is something I have not even talked about. That is incredibly on Arena Commander. I've seen DJ Bunton say many times that Arena Commander is the perfect game. I've seen people talk about it like it is a functioning game, and that I just don't get. So our poll is saying 55% immersion and 45% responsiveness. That's interesting. I mean, I kind of expected that because we're talking about Star Citizen, and obviously you play Star Citizen for immersion. And I agree with that mostly, but Arena Commander is not Star Citizen. It should not be exactly the same. If they want to have a shooter module, then it should at least be a little bit polished. And it's just to not fend away all the people that want to try it. Yeah, I think I've said enough about that. It's mostly my opinion, but I have a strong one on that. Let's get something done. Oh, actually, I have to go run and find my glasses. Sorry about that. Telesphane, if you've never, it sounds like you have never tried it, just try it once. I mean, you can jump from the main Star Citizen menu, just jump in. It takes 1 minute to be in a lobby. That at least doesn't take too long. And just play it for 2 minutes and let me know what you think about it. I don't think you need more to build an opinion. It's not getting better after that. Statistically, a sample size under 30 isn't a valid poll. Yeah, I'm going to redo the poll at some point. You're right. That's I still think it's interesting. It's just interesting. Games with good first-person interactions let your camera be relatively free. That helps a lot to make them less nauseating. Agree. Speaking about nauseating, in Arena Commander, every now and then you start with your head and your camera tilted at around, like, I don't know, not 45, but maybe 30 degrees or something. So you always have your head tilted and then it snaps back to straight looking 90 degrees as you would expect. I don't have a problem with motion sickness, but I assume that people having that, it feels really nauseating already. Little Maybug, ich dachte, das Innere der Ironclad, now we're in full German mode. Drake Ironclad. He said, I thought the interior of the Ironclad was already done. Not sure if that was a joke. If it wasn't, I have the layout complete. So all the floor layouts. I have not put in all the details. And before I finish that, I'm adding more details to make it prettier. I guess that was a joke. So, the stacking here, we don't need that anymore. What we do need for the geometry nodes to work properly, we need some kind of median point, center point, that is in one of the spots where I want to attach it to the next one. So one that is completely centered. So like this here. This point is where I want to stack the next one. Oh, actually, what is happening with the mesh? Oh, there's something dirty going on. We have to fix that. That's not okay. We clean that up. I'm explaining why it's a problem, and I'm just having a quick look at the chat again. Okay. Will you have a go on the Kraken afterwards? Absolutely. Yes, that's why I'm putting so much effort into this system, because it just makes sense to then quickly do the Kraken too. Probably I'll do it again with Grim. I think that was super fun for me because he has so much expertise, and a lot of people in the video that we did together seem to like us together. And I feel like he's someone, I think we are both very calm, and that kind of works out. So maybe we'll just get back together for that. Arena Commander does feel significantly smoother than the PTU FPS. Honestly, if it's like that, it would be acceptable. I don't know what's wrong with PU at all times. And yes, Arena Commander is better, but it still feels terrible to me. I don't know. Again, does it feel smooth to you? Like completely smooth, like a real game? Little Maybach, it wasn't a joke. I was having that assumption because of the video title not so long ago and Patreon posts. What did I post? I think I posted the interiors done, so I got... Oh, well, the interior scene for you is done, so the first version of that where you can walk around. That is not the complete one, though. And I think I posted something like my video is done and my tour is done, which I said in the 2 months before that I'm not going to finish the whole interior, but obviously I said that on stream. There's sometimes I forget that I have not said that publicly or whatever, but no, we have finished the whole layout of the ship, but the detailing would still take... Honestly, I said that in the making of too. I could finish the interior in 1 or 2 hours, but I'll just spend some more times making these wall and door and floor systems better, so we can have an even better level of detail. Are we assuming the game is functioning glad intended as the final product when we are saying immersion versus responsiveness? Because Arena Commander today isn't even close to functioning and as intended for immersion. That's a good point too. It does not really lean into immersion at all either. I think it could lean into both directions. I don't care. My main point is that it feels unpolished and incredibly unpolished, like not... or wait, didn't you do it already in a limited way? I see. I think I need to subscribe to your Patreon. Don't feel like you have to. I usually have at least the information on YouTube too. But I mean, no, I don't think I ever said that I finished the whole interior. If I have, please let me know and I'll correct it if you find the post. EV2Q, to be honest, I am sometimes sort of nauseating myself with my head tracker. Why are you doing that? It sounds like you're doing that intentionally. Quickly do the Kraken too. I actually mean that. Like, you'll see. When these systems are done, you saw if you looked at the making of, this small section where I built that stairway and the stairs and just dragged these elements there, it was so fast. Like the actual building the Ironclad stuff together was so fast. I was not exaggerating in that video. Like putting the pieces together took me just a few hours, and so the Kraken will probably take me a few more hours, but I still think I could get it done relatively quick when I'm done with this. I realize you've used... Oh, Jesus Christ, I can't read. I realize you were using Blender, but come on, what's with that topology? Is that a diss that my topology is bad because I'm using Blender? Please explain. Because I would like to defend myself. The Kraken tour is done. Finished. Kraken tour? The Kraken tour is finished? You mean the Ironclad tour? Maybe finish watching that. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. I'm feeling the jankiest thing is in using items, throwing a grenade or med pens. Yep, and med pens are so necessary and they always feel terrible to use. I feel like I have to though. No, I first thought you didn't do the Kraken at all, but then I remembered that you showed off the exterior. And what does topology have to do with Blender? Yeah, I assume he said that all Blender users can't work properly because they use annoying, free, shitty software. But honestly, I'm curious, XShade117, what exactly you wanted to say with that. No hate or anything, I'm just curious what you meant with the topology comment. Because I know that not all topology here is perfect, but yeah, let me know. And performant models don't need a clean topology if you don't intend to subdivide it further. Oh, I still try to keep it clean where I can. I meant the Ironclad, and from that video title I got that assumption. Okay, now I'm going to check how my videos are called. Building an Ironclad behind the scenes, drag Ironclad preview, drag Ironclad to active scene. Okay, so you're talking about the Patreon, I guess. Ironclad interior available. Ironclad interior available. Oh, okay, the Ironclad tour is done. It literally says the Ironclad tour is done for now. Yeah, it's the first half of what I have finished, and EVTQ on the 42-minute mark. Good job, everyone, for distracting Trist already. We are getting better and better at this. It's true. It's true. So, before I get some more distractions in, what's wrong with this topology? Maybe you were talking about this issue that I also pointed out. Here's something where you can see that there's color where it should be red. So there's something in the inside that shouldn't be there. If you look closely, there's this steel beam here. And inside that steel beam, there is some thin face that just shouldn't be there. I don't know how it happened, but we can get rid of it. This one too. There's something flipped here. So you belong here. This is a triangle, but I don't have an issue with triangles if they are the right way. So now I fixed that, and now I still probably have some overlapping vertices from that. And now I shouldn't. So now this looks clean to me. And we don't want faces inside that are doubling up with stuff that will lead to flickering later. Other than that, this feels okay-ish. And I was also surprised that this has faces. I don't need faces there, because that part will connect to this next bit. Like this. Oh, there's another one. What is this? Ah, okay. I don't need this face anymore. Because these faces are completely fitting into that here. They were useful at some point, but now I don't need them anymore because they should perfectly connect to the next element. That looks decently clean to me. Okay, now that we have that... Oh, actually, there was something else that I noticed. This here. It should perfectly... this is basically where you... This is an anti-slip piece in the front, where you have this sandpaper texture that lets you not slip off the metal stairs. We'll see that when there's textures on it. But since they are supposed to be mirroring here, they should not have faces here. So let's clean that up. And now that looks better. So I'm always checking everything for mistakes to a decent level, and they are not perfect, they are not game ready, but looks decent to me, so we're done with that. Now we need to apply some materials, and it's an issue if I want to share them with you, because most of my materials use textures that I have bought with money, and I can't give them away, so I'm currently looking for free textures and making my own, obviously, but for now I still have stuff in here that I can't give away, unfortunately. And I made a lot of different materials in different colors. So for this stairs, I'm going to take a painted steel matte gray, assign that, and now we see that the texture is stretched here. Actually, for trying that, we should do a checkerboard. And there you see how messed up the textures is. That's normal if you have never aligned them. And usually for these models, because I just don't have the time to unwrap everything perfectly, I'm just doing a quick automatic one. And for most generic assets, that's good enough for now. For some of them, I have to make it manually if I want to bake lighting or something. But for now, that is decent. So we can go back to our painted steel in dark gray. And then the front here should be rubber. We have some... I guess we can use that rubber grip that we used for the stairs. No, I don't like that actually. That is the one that I used for the handrails. I'll use it for now, but I want to find some texture that is a bit more... yeah, sandpaper-like, like the super coarse stuff they put on stairs sometimes. Anyway, for this I have to give them different UV coordinates so they are a bit smaller. And then also I'm doing something that you should never do. I don't plan to bake lighting into any of these. So I want these to tile more, I want this to be finer. And I could adjust the shader, but I have this shader set up so that it works with every model in the scene. So just a quick fix, I'm just going to scale up the UVs to go over the borders of the UDIM. That is terrible, no one should ever copy that. But it's a placeholder material, so it's fine. Please don't judge. I'm going to make it pretty I'm going to make a fitting material for that later. And then these parts that connect should be chromey. That I made similar to the caterpillar stairs again. Roll. Oh. That doesn't look very chromy right now, but that's a viewport thing. Why is it so streaky? No, let's keep it clean for now. There's one more thing I have to do, but I want to check my chat 1 second. Patreons +1, thank you. I appreciate that a lot. I have the Star Citizen issue with Patreon, where currently a handful of whales make up most of the numbers, and one left and everything broke in, but that's fine. Do you ever think you will get any thanks of CIG for this free product advertisement through your cut skills in making the Ironclad? I don't think so. I have not heard anything from CIG to this day. I think they are more upset with my stuff. I heard people told me that CIG is angry about my stuff for some reason. Paywall stuff, I guess, Patreon stuff. I did reach out to the community manager. He didn't really get back to me, so I guess it's not too bad, but it's not like anyone ever said he is happy with my work. But I do collect all comments where anyone says, oh, I bought an Ironclad after watching your video because it was so cool, and at some point I'm just going to send them a price list. What is it called? I'm going to send them a list of all the people who bought Ironclads or Galaxies because of my video, and then I'm asking my share. But I don't really expect anything. I would appreciate if someone said, that's cool stuff, thank you, or please make it different and don't make it too similar to our stuff, then that would also be cool, but I feel like at this point it's weird having put so much time in that and not ever having heard back anything. It kind of feels, it's not, I don't expect anything, but it's it feels like I'm working into a void somehow. Good evening, evening good. Do N-gons transition well into the viewer though? You're talking about the viewer that I use in to show you to give you the scenes. That doesn't care about N-gons. That would be one reason why I should consider not using it. And I don't use N-gons ever if they are distorted. But if they are on one plane, on one flat plane, then it doesn't matter. I think I understand better what you all mean with FPS. I don't think it's terrible, but it feels a bit like underwater, wavy. Yeah, underwater is a good comparison, I think. Putting in the hard work, you're amazing, thank you. Rechnung. Yeah, Rechnung, but now give me the word for Rechnung of English, please. I should know what Rechnung is of English, but I don't. I'm going to send them an invoice. An invoice with all ships that people have bought because of my videos. It's not many. I only have 3 comments collected so far, but that is, I don't know what the current market value of Ironclad and Galaxy is. That's at least 1,000 quid. Right. So, Bill, is it not invoice? Isn't an invoice what you send if isn't the bill what you get in a restaurant? I mean, I've worked there, I should know, but I thought I would assume that a bill is what you get in a restaurant, and an invoice is something that you give to someone who has to pay you. But I might be wrong. I found your videos and stuff through Space Tomato and Astrohistorian. And boy, I'm glad. Yeah, oh, I'm happy to hear that. I should do more with other creators. I do like that. But oftentimes I don't have much to add to their shows, I feel like. Because oftentimes, I mean, I don't really have opinions, or I don't necessarily want to share too many opinions on the game side, because I spend too much time in doing content for the game. But yeah, especially Space Tomato was super calm and chill and nice to talk to, and I think we got along quite well. And the Astrohistorian, we didn't talk much, to be honest. He just I was an emergency guest, I think. I don't think he knew. I think when we got onto the show, he had no idea who I was or what I was doing. I think it was Execute bringing me in. I hope that he watched. But honestly, I was hoping that he was watching some of my stuff, because I obviously like him. I like Paul's content a lot, and I had always planned to do stuff with him, as in asking him to narrate one or two of my videos whenever I come up with something, some ship that I made up or something. Then it would be nice to have him talk about the history of it, like it's a real thing. So I hope that we can do that in the future, but so far I had no real reason to get in contact about that. I think an invoice is a type of a bill, but not every bill is an invoice. Yeah. Yeah, something like that. I would advise you not to put too much thought into what CRG thinks. Like, don't let it crush your motivation if CRG one day says that they do not want you to create content based on their material. We appreciate you. Thank you, I appreciate that. But I honestly think if CRG ever came out and said, we don't like that kind of stuff, I would lose interest. I don't want to fight against such a system. I want to be... I don't want to join CIG per se, I talked about that a lot. But I kind of want to be a part of this, not the community, but... I want to be in good standing with them. Otherwise, it feels like I'm fighting. I don't want my stuff to be compared to their work. I want it to be acknowledged and people be happy about it, and not them thinking that I'm trying to just monetize their stuff and get money out of it, or make it better, or complain. I don't know, I don't necessarily care for their opinions too much, but I just want to be on good standing. EBTQ. A quick search told me that the difference between a bill and an invoice is that there's basically no difference, or something. Thank you for clearing that up. You're doing great work. Okay. I have already, again, done nothing for 10 minutes. Something I want to add here. I have set up a system that is a bit weird. Oh, and that doesn't work with the Chrome. I fixed that later. For now, let's say that these Chrome bits are bluish gray. I'll exchange that for Chrome later. But I want these welding seams to look like welding seams. And for that, I am going to make a separate UV layout and call that welding seams. I think the naming is important. I've set that up quite a while ago, so I don't remember. View. Oh, I don't even have that in all materials. Welding seams altogether. Caps. Not caps, but... Okay. So. Call that welding seams. I'll make it painted steel yellow for now. And then I'm going to select all faces. And in that new UV layout, take all faces and slam them to the corner. So I have a UV layout where all faces are basically on 0. And then I only take the faces that are interesting to me, so the welding seams. And I'm going to give them proper layout. This is not a proper layout. Now I have a nice welding seam there. Nice-ish. It looks better when you render it, but it's basically built into the base material, so it has the same color and everything. And then I should later, well, not later, I'm going to do that now. And I just add them to this one. Oh. Doesn't seem to work properly. That doesn't seem to work properly. I'll fix that later. I thought it would be cool if CRG spends the year on makeshift ships. Like combinations of Vandal, Subcapital and human ships, for instance. Like the stuff that people gather in Nix. It would be interesting to see what kind of combinations that could come out of that. So you're talking more gray market ships, like the Shiv. I also have opinions on that. I also started to make a video about the Kitbashing ship and what that could mean. And honestly, yeah, I'm also interested on that. What do you people think about the Shiv? Do you like it? Do you like the idea of Kitbashing together ships? Before I share my opinions, I just want to have a... I'll make another poll. I like polls. Do you like the Shiv and the idea of Kitbashed ships in Star Citizen? I don't like to see them in the game more, but like with a proper gold standard. Okay. I think selling a ship like the Shiv is bad. Those need to be in-game exclusives. That is an interesting point. I have not even considered that. Let's wait 3 more minutes on that poll. For more in-game exclusive ships after the release of Scorn 42. Well, like the idea of Grace, that is the main problem I have with it too. The idea of custom build stuff is nice, but if everyone can have one, it's not really custom build, is it? So they should have some feel of being manufactured, just maybe scrappy and by hand. And they are not really custom. And the poll, 70% of you like it and 30 don't. Oh, that's only 7 votes, so fair enough. But yeah, EV2Q, that's basically my point. I like the general idea, but I mean, they already said that this is kind of the main ship of that new mysterious faction, and so you will see them everywhere. And they will all be built out of the same 3 pieces, and it just feels weird to me that he builds it from scrap, but for some reason he has 1,000,000 cutlasses, 1,000,000 Valkyries, and what's the third ship? Whatever else, 1,000,000 Crusader ships for that one interior panel. It's just, it doesn't really, I mean, if you see 1 or 2, I get the idea, but there will be too many of them. And especially if you sell them to people. And so, what I would honestly, I mean, the whole idea that he has one ship with the name, where it's one, this is the Shiv, and the Shiv is a mix of these 3 ships, already makes it feel mass-produced. And I would prefer if it's like in, that's not really true, like how Star Wars sold it in the beginning, where you have, there's many YT-1300 ships, but there's only one Millennium Falcon because there has been these few modifications here and there. And so I would prefer if you could do a few modifications yourself in your ship, but those be rather minor. I think that will be terribly hard to implement, maybe impossible. But I would prefer to have your own variations of a ship, or maybe even have, like, let's say we get 3 variations of one ship, but not call it a completely new ship that makes it already feel mass-produced. I would much rather, not much rather see, but I think having a Cutty with an aftermarket turret on it, just completely out of, you have the base Cuddy and then one turret on top from a different ship. And you all have that option, but it doesn't make it a new ship, but that would make it feel more aftermarket than mass-produced, I think. I don't know. Maybe it's the same. Weirdest part is that the Cutlass isn't even finished, no components in a Cutlass, and then they make a new ship. I can agree. At least the new one doesn't have components either. Fair enough. Yeah, that's a bit messy. And so my biggest fear is that they're going to use Grey to pump out these Kitbash ships that are low effort moneymakers, and there's no evidence yet that they're going to do that, and I just hope they keep it to a reasonable level, and then I might be fine. But I don't want to see a new Grey ship for every event this year. That would be annoying. Yeah, I would rather see modifications of ships, but it stays the same ship, or have completely new ships that are scrappy, but not completely made out of parts from one specific ship. That feels a bit unrealistic, that he has the same 3 ships 1,000 times lying around. Or what I think would also be a cool idea if you had, that would be a lot of effort, but it would be cool, if for the Shiv they made all the panels on the outside have different textures, random textures, so that every panel gets decolored and some have different textures, and they are randomly generated. So for every panel they have 3-4 different options. And you have 20 of those panels, so you get few 100,000 different options, and they are not very different. It's the same ship, but it's just textures that they swap out. But so basically every shiv is really unique in a way. It's just swap textures. It doesn't take any real space on your machine or anything to have 1,000 variations, but just like in Counter-Strike, the knives are... You have a million options for one knife just by moving textures around a bit. That's a system that is really efficient, and it gives you... Well, every ship would be a tiny bit unique. And then you could even have some that are better than others because the random texture pattern is cooler. And you could make it go a little step further and have a few of the ribbling objects on the surface also randomly scatter. So let's just have it like 10 small antennas or something on the surface that are just slightly different every time. Could just be small stuff, but it would then be really different every single time. Like, again, on Counter-Strike, it's just the texture of the knives that change the position, and still every knife feels somewhat different, and I think that would make a lot of difference. Latest last night looked at a cutlass engineering panel, showed where the components would be but aren't, so hopefully they are updating that soonish. Yeah, right, Martin, and an antenna could be placed on just a few different spots on the hull. I don't think that's too much of work, and it could have it could make all the difference in making them unique. And I could already see people like trading shivs, because one player has one where all the panels are the same color, and you have the rare shiv which is not completely, or maybe it's the opposite, and people are collecting the ones with the most different textures. There's always these things always just happen in games like that. Like again on Counter-Strike, where there's just a weird zebra pattern on that knife, and then people see shapes in there like butterflies and diamonds, and then some objects get incredibly expensive just because the texture gets aligned in a weird way. Would be cool on shifts. They would be slightly different. It's better. Okay. So that will be your new drag steps. They are not finished, but they are for sure better than these. Imagine if building such a ship would be connected to gameplay where you crash on a planet, you find a page of that guide how to build a ship from scrap, and you drive an old truck to gather all the pieces from different locations. Yeah. So much that you could do with that idea. But I just tried to get back into some Star Citizen stuff after not having played it for quite a long time. Tried 2 different pyro missions, none of them worked. Yeah. It is what it is. I have another new asset. Oh no, that's one object. I have... Currently I only have 2 of these wall panels, or rather of these wall panel decorations. So you may have noticed in the demo that they all have either this detailing with the cables and the electric fuse boxes or whatever, and the only other one I have is this one with just cables and a few boxes, and I obviously need a handful more of those to randomly distribute them, so just make it look more natural. So what I have added is this one, which is going to be a cooler, is also not textured. Just give this one a beige one for now. And let's give that where's my texture? Did I delete that? Okay, I deleted that. Where did I put it? Textures, miscellaneous. There we go. Made a normal map for that too. Yeah, so that's another piece in there that's not finished with detailing. But I also noticed in that scene that I have way too many static objects in there and nothing that really moves, so I added something that will move and should add some life to everything. I also added... No, I have not really added. I'm also adding a lot more blinking lights everywhere just to make it all a bit less static, and I think these ACs everywhere will really help sell that and make it less static. Also, I made it a little bit off, so it does not... So it wobbles a tiny bit to make it look more natural. Also, this has no UVs, looks terrible. Better, and now it still looks terrible, you might say, but with motion blur on it would... I won't put more detail into that because the motion blur will make it look nice. Actually, I should have motion blur in the viewport. Okay, this is what it's going to look like later. Will be fine. Actually, that viewport motion blur is quite terrible. Yeah, but rotating objects are always tricky for motion blur. Anyway, that should add some detail. We'll need some Drakish stickers everywhere, but it's something. And in the end, I want to have at least 10 of these different modules. This. Oh, that's okay. That's a weird shadow from these pieces. The obligatory, if this component catches fire, you will die and the ship will explode. And the also obligatory, we don't take any responsibility for that. It's your own fault, it's your ship. Yep, absolutely. Currently, I have only added... where is it? I don't have it in the collection here. I only have the basic warning labels that I can put on everything. But you know what? Let's start with those. Let's add some of those. Oh, actually, someone asked me why I don't use plugins to place decals or something like that, and I really should. But I have not looked into that. I know there's a cool plugin for that. I haven't used it. I should. I know I should. I haven't. I will soonish, but today we're going to do it the old school way. So I think a Drakish AC should definitely have a warning for electricity, obviously. But I think because it's Drake, it should also... have one for radiation. Feels natural to me. Maybe not that prominent though. That's cool. Make it feel like a vehicle that should be taken serious. Okay. Good evening. One. Nice to have you here. Good evening. How goes progress? Overall with the ship, decent. Still think I can make it for IE without an issue. If you're asking the progress for tonight, I don't know. Not that good. I always get distracted. I just don't learn it. I just don't learn multitasking in this life. We have only added 2 little pieces to my library. And I'm not super proud of that. I don't want this to be green or anything like that, but I'm not going to add new colors just now. I'm finishing up the shader, the material, with some new functions, and then I'm going to update all the colors. So I don't have to do it a million times over again, and then I have to. Then this will be white. Don't make yourself a target for TTS names. I won't, but I thought it was fun. We have started calming down and letting Chris work since that. It's been progressing fine. Before that, that's not the point. What was before that? Yep. Oh, also, are there any other Blender heads in here who can give me some tips? Because there's one thing that I have never really figured out. Currently I use the same material for mostly everything. So I made one metallic shader, painted metal shader, that I use for everything. There's the blue one here, and the green one here, and the brown one here. They're all the same, just with a different color in there. So it's the same shader, just the color changed. And obviously I would like to have one shader for every object that is supposed to be painted metal, and then have an option somewhere to change just the color, but not have multiple shaders. So if I update the shader, all the colors get updated, but I don't really know how to do that. I know there are vertex colors, so I could use these color attributes, but that only gives me one solid color and it looks a bit weird. And then also I can't really pick these, they are just names, and I have to pick this color once and then I can never see it again in this list. It just doesn't feel like the good way for that. Anyone has a good idea how to assign? Basically what I want is have a shader where, I mean, the way I'm currently doing this with the bluish one, for example, I have the texture in here, which is just black and white, and then I use the color of any material and then multiply that with my texture. That's how I get the color and the surface details from the black and white texture. And basically I just want this knob here to be exposed here, like I have my geometry nodes exposed. I don't know if that's possible. If anyone has a tip for me, feel free to let me know on Discord or something if it's too complicated now. My name is a TTS name. Google refused to accept my actual IRL name, so this is my real name on Google now. Okay, fair enough. I'm here for your Blender tips. Sure, I'm happy to share them, but every now and then I still need help. There is not necessarily something like material instances in UE5, but you could create a node group that is shared across materials, while everything else is controlled in the node group. Yeah. I mean, I'm partly doing that. But if I just do that with basically everything, that it would solve my problem. I would still have to create multiple shaders for every color. But if everything that I could change is in that node group, then sure, if I update that at one position, yeah, actually, I'm stupid. I actually just need to expand what I've already doing. Thank you. That, yeah, actually that might be the only tip I needed. I mean, I still would like if I don't have 20 different materials for the same, yeah, essentially it is the same material with just a different color, but I guess that's fine. And yeah, as you were saying with the vertex colors or with the color attributes, I would have the same issue. I would also have to create one for every color. And then also it's even less well recognizable. And also these you can't, as far as I know, you can't search them by name. So I always have to just write the name of it, so blue or whatever. But if I use slightly different spelling, and I mean I have complicated ones like Envil Green Dark and Envil Green Light with spaces in between, and if I just have the slightest typo mistake, then it will not find it, so I don't think that's good for that either. Could be cool to add in some particle nodes around certain areas, kind of like steam or smoke. Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely need steam in my ships, in my Drake ships. And smoke might be a bit tricky, but also like falling electric sparks here and there could be nice. Agree, that would be a nice touch that I should add. Especially like, yeah, there are some wall panels that have these vapor rising that, yeah, I should do that. You're right. I will add that too. Good, yeah. That's, yeah, I would have forgotten that. I thought about that like a month ago, but completely forgot about it. But when I watched my video, I felt like it was all very static, and I wanted to feel alive. So it's about time to wrap it up for today. Big lift for minimal effort. Yep, agree. Same with the blinking lights, I think. And also these fans, but yeah, particles shouldn't be too hard to add to. I think I'm going to wrap it up for today. We're almost at 2 hours and I didn't finish much, as usual. That's fine. I had fun. There's one thing I want to talk about for a second because I think it's super interesting. Maybe you disagree and it's super boring, but I think it's super interesting. Star Citizen uses a lot of POMs in their materials, and they even talk about that when they talk about the detailing on the Perseus and the Polaris. They always talk about POMs, and if you don't know what that is, that's parallax occlusion mapping, and that is a technique that I heard about 20 years ago that is quite simple, but I've never seen it used in as much. I've never seen it used that aggressively as they use it in Star Citizen, and it is a super interesting technique, and now they have implemented that into Blender, and with them I mean the StarFab team, and I think specifically this one was made by Star Destroyer, who's very active in the StarFab Discord. And if you don't know what it is, I think it's one of the reasons why Star Citizen why it looks so good. I already talked about there's some things in Star Citizen that don't look that good, but this is, and they have a lot of detail in their ships that it feels very 3D. And in the beginning, when I saw it the first time, I thought they used a lot of displacement for everything. But you probably know that displacement is very taxing on your hardware. And where's my textures? Oh, I have to close Blender for a second. Use a different Blender. So displacement is used in games. Displacement is used in Star Citizen. It is where you basically have a texture of how a complex surface is very displaced, and then you actually displace the geometry and add geometric detail, which is very taxing on your hardware. They use that a lot in film. It looks very good, but it's very taxing on your hardware. The old school way, the very old school way is to use bump maps, and the slightly newer old school way is to use normal maps, which basically fake a 3D look, or like a dent or a, I don't know, scratches or imperfections in your surfaces. But normal maps only really give you they don't look really 3D. They just give you a small like these lines you could perfectly do with the normal maps. But if you look at this surface on the Paladin, these hexagons, you can see that they have real depth to them. From every angle you can see the sides of them, and they really look 3D-ish and displaced, and they have real depth to them. But if you look very closely, you see that they are just on a flat image, and they don't have any 3D information to them at all. It is just one face that looks like it has depth to it. And that is that parallax occlusion mapping that they use it for all kinds of details that would usually be modeled, or maybe use displacement maps, but it's too deep or too 3D for bump maps, normal maps. And it's crazy interesting. And sorry, I'm talking so slow because I have to think at the same time. The interesting part about it is that there's nothing 3D about it at all. It is really just your 2D image. And what's happening in the background is that they calculate from the position of your camera in relation to your object what angle the surface has, or how this depth would change the angle, and then they in real time change the UVs of your object. So if you don't know what UVs are, I won't be able to explain it in a few seconds completely, but basically it's a 2D translation of where your the images are connecting to your textures. And so basically they are changing the coordinates of the textures in 2D, which is very efficient. It's not super efficient. I heard that it's somewhere in between normal mapping and displacement. So it is taxing, but not as taxing as displacement. And it's quite a wild technique because ultimately this is still 2D and it's just a visual trick, but it looks so good. But again, I've never seen it used that aggressively anywhere. The only use case I knew is in film. They used it for when you fly through a city and you have like a million high-rises with a million windows in there. You could model all of that, but what they do is just took one picture of a room that is lit, put that into one cube with 5 faces, and then place that on these 4 sides and then just move the UVs based on your camera position to fake a depth of that room, but ultimately it was just a flat face. To just save up resources, and yeah, they use that here for real details in the ship that is very unique. I have not seen that in any other games. I'm not saying no other games are doing that, but I have never seen it anywhere else. To that capacity, at least. It's very frequently used in the... I have the Intrepid here. Let's have a look at the Intrepid 1 second. Cyberpunk also uses it quite a lot. Is that true? I didn't know that. I have to look at that. I played a lot of Cyberpunk, but there's so much detail that it just blends perfectly. What kind of software witchcraft is that? Yeah, it is really witchcraft, because this is not even a Blender function. He just wrote that in, I don't know. It's just a script that he wrote that analyzes the positions and calculates those normals, and it's just black magic. Those shaders are always problematic when you try to convert a game into VR. With 2 cameras in the actual game, it shouldn't be a problem though. I actually think this should work in VR. Obviously, yeah, you would have to make the calculation twice, but I think it could really, really help there. And again, in VR you need to save a lot of resources. That could really help out there, but yeah, why not? Good idea. Here you can see perfectly these things here. These meshes, these grills here. This is where I noticed it in game. They look very convincingly 3D. But as you can see, it's just a face. Oh, actually, it's a bit broken here. These two are not... one is offsetted. I don't know. There's something wrong with the right one. The left one looks correct. The right one looks inverted or something. But on the left one, you can see how perfectly it works. How it looks completely 3D, but it's just a face. And there's these ones too, I think. This also broken? Yeah, it's the same. Weird. And another one where I really found it cool is the engraved Crusader logo. That looks really good. That looks a bit... the edges look terrible here. That looks a lot better in Engine, in Star Engine. I don't know if they have different... maybe they just have a better POM shader, or they just use different textures for that. I don't know, but the engraved logos always stood out to me. They looked so good and so displaced and so rich in detail. But yeah, that I found. I don't know if it was in here for forever, but I think it's quite a new addition, and I love it. And here, yeah, look at these. Can we get rid of these helper lines? Oh. Something's wrong here. They don't... Some move right and some are just off. I guess it's not finished. Maybe it's still a work in progress. But I still like the technique so much that I would love to use that for my shaders too. I'm going to have to ask him if I can use it to add some more details to mine too. Because they are also incredibly easy to set up. It's not like a normal map where you have to bake it first. It's just a black and white image, and depending on how far you want it to be extruded, it's white and grayish in between. It's super easy to make. Inverted UVs. Oh, you mean here? These issues. I think mirroring geometry using the same UVs may be a problem with the shader. Maybe, but I mean, these are coming straight out of the game. So there is no mirroring going on. This is just one mesh. And the UVs, I mean, I can check them. Okay. Yeah, they are flipped. So if I flip these and move them, that should look better. Maybe, yeah, I guess you're right. Star Engine might be fine with that. This shader is not. Maybe he has to fix that. But that is amazing. I love that effect so much. Again, these hard edges that you get here, Star Engine has a better effect to blend that. But again, I think it's one of the first implementations of that. Definitely not as much as Star Citizen and not the quality. Sorry, we're still at Cyberpunk. I have to look at the Cyberpunk implementation of that, but I was under the assumption that it just displays a lot. Hunt Showdown certainly uses it, but I'm not sure in how far they use it. Yeah, I've never really played Hunt, only when it was free once, but it's the same engine after all, so wouldn't be surprised. Something that can also help is different material types like glass or metal or plastic. Each has a different shine or way it interacts with the light, so it by default creates dynamics. A glass window on a panel. Oh, you're talking about my scene and my shaders. Oh, yeah, you were talking about the Steam earlier. Yeah, absolutely. I definitely need to make more shaders. The only reason I have only this one with different colors for now is because it's a placeholder. That's the reason. I just didn't have time to make more different ones. I need to, I will have to, but I want to make this one shader perfectly finished, apply them to all, and then I'm going to make a new one. If I make a new shader for every model at the moment where I'm still building it all, I would just have a mess and couldn't find if I make one good and then I have to apply it back to all these objects. So yeah, it's just for me to not confuse them all. I will add more shaders later for sure. And I talked about that earlier. I'm currently have to consider using only textures that I can share because I want to share these objects at some point. So I can't just throw in, I mean, especially in Blender, I use that in other projects. I have a plugin where you can just drop in community shaders and you can just throw them on everything and it looks fine. But then I can give it out to you. So I have to carefully create those later and recheck every single texture that I drag in if I'm allowed to use that. Decal machine has an automatic pomade. No way. Really? Does it work? Is it good? I'll have a look at that. Thank you very much. I didn't know that. It does tend to break at extreme angles, so it is not as well made as the one you're... Okay, it's not as well made as this one. That's sad, because from what I know, this is just one person writing that in his free time. I'll still have a look at it, because I need something like that in my scenes. But this looks so cool. Prototyping makes sense. Should be like a backpass. Yeah. Yep. But I will make it a bit more varied in my old scene. And add some more grime and dirt. Because it's a drake ship. Alrighty. It's 2 hours. It's been 2 hours. Let's call it a day. Didn't get much done today, as always. But I have a lot of time right now to finish it in between streams, and I have made some progress that I will share soon enough. So yeah, let's get this done for IE. Thanks for watching, thanks for helping me, thanks for keeping me from working. No, but honestly, thanks for all the nice discussions, and I appreciate it. Alrighty, see you soonish, and see you on the verse.